there, this is Amy. Thanks so much for stopping by. I am going to do a video tonight that shows you how to paint the shrub roses that I did the brushstroke video on that I posted earlier today. So I'm going to actually show you how I'm going to paint that on my Pilsner glass, and this is the Pilsner glass. And I apologize, I do have some water in that. I just had to clean it off. Started doing the video and then my camera started beeping, which I have no idea why. Anyways, I'm going to be using a 12-inch flat brush, which is a one-stroke brush. A number 7 though, Cornell, and they call it a shader, but it's also a flat brush. And then a Scruffy brush, which is a small Scruffy brush, one stroke. And then a liner brush, which actually is just, I'm not even sure what brand it is, just something cheap that I picked up. I do have some better ones, but I kind of have to dig them out and find which ones I actually want to work with. But anyways, for tonight, that's what I'm using. And then I am going to be using folk art enamel paints, sunflower, yellow ochre, the wicker white, coffee bean, thicket, and magenta. I actually painted this glass earlier, and then when I went to upload the video, I found that I did not get a lot of my painting while I was painting in the actual video. So I'm redoing it in hopes that I can do a little bit better job with that. So forgive me, I am trying to get used to this, as I mentioned before. I am starting out with the magenta, double loading my brush with the magenta and the sunflower. And I am starting out painting the actual petals, and I actually want to wave this a little bit. Not a lot, but just you can put a little bit of wave into it. It's not an actual wavy, like when we do a lot of, what I want to say, kind of a wavy pattern in the actual petals. It's more of a, just a rounded type of, maybe a little bit of detail just to the exterior part, not a whole lot. And I'm trying to keep it to where it's opaque, so that's why I'm going back over the actual petals a little bit. Just keep in mind when you do that, you can paint over them. If you want to let it dry and paint over it, you can do that. And also, you can just go over it while it's still wet, which is what I'm doing, obviously. I'll just curve it in there. Now this one kind of didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So I'm going to go back over it again and just pull it up there. And also too, I'm sure you're noticing that I am a lefty. So if you have to start your designs out the opposite direction, that's fine, that's normal. I probably am doing it the opposite of what you would do it if you're right-handed. It's one of the problems with a lefty trying to teach somebody else something, how to do something, because I have a tendency to do things backwards from somebody else that's not a lefty. And I apologize for that. You might have to make some adjustments in how you're doing it after watching me. And I'm just basically pushing down and pulling it around. And as I mentioned, I did do a video on the brushstroke and uploaded it this morning. So if you want to take a look at that, that would be, my suggestion to you to get a better view. It's actually easier to keep in the camera screen when you're actually working on something flat as opposed to holding it and painting it. At least that's what I'm finding. If anybody has any suggestions, please let me know. Pretty easy design. Like I said, most of them are, fairly easy. I think easy. Now keep in mind when you are painting glass to follow the manufacturer's recommendation as far as baking and bake time, temperature, and etc. And with the folk art enamels, they recommend that you bake them at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And every paint that you'll find on the market that's a glass paint will have different recommendations based upon their paint. So that's why I say definitely follow that. If I have people ask me a lot about the bake times, and it's like, you really need to follow what the recommendation is of the actual manufacturer. Reason being, it's their paint and they know what needs to be done in order to make it durable. And that's what you have to keep in mind. Now, there is some flexibility with the folk art enamels. They will either cure by air drying for 21 days. They'll be fully cured, or you could put them in the oven and bake them for the 30 minutes. Now, when you're doing that, it's very, very important to remember, put your glassware in a cold oven. Never pop it in an oven that's already been heated. It's not going to work out well if you do. Let me tell you, that's not going to work. Sudden change in temperature is what will break your glass in a heartbeat. So just keep that in mind. Then when you are baking your glass and following the manufacturer's recommendation, what I would like to tell you on that one is to make sure that you add your bake time to your preheat time. So the bake time is the actual time that it needs to bake in a fully heated oven. So every oven's different. Mine, for instance, takes about 20 minutes to preheat, whereas your oven may only take 10 to 15 minutes to preheat. So know your oven, make sure you figure that out and add that to the recommended bake time. Just to make sure that your glassware, is dried and cured the way it needs to be so that it is durable for you. Now, if you choose to just air dry it, I would say you can still use it. It's not meaning that you can't, but I would definitely hand wash it, and just make sure you never ever use anything that's harsh chemical, harsh, scrub pad of any sort. That you make sure that you are using something that's very soft, and just lightly clean it and put it away for the next use, and then you'll have it. You'll have it for years to come. But definitely never put this type of product in the bottom of your dishwasher once you do have it cured, because you will pull it out and the paint will either be all gone or mostly gone, just depending on the heat and all that. If you have a commercial grade dishwasher, I would definitely hand wash. Right now on this, I am tapping in the centers using the Scruffy brush and using yellow ochre and the coffee bean in the center. Now the centers, at least for me, how I'm doing this tonight, the centers are important, obviously, but as far as being precise with the center part, you'll see here in a minute that it doesn't have to be real precise, because you're going to go over it with another color and pretty much hide it. Now on this part too, you can, if you choose to wait and want to let this dry before you continue on, you can do so. I don't care too much about whether or not it's dry. And of course, for the purpose of the video, I'd prefer to keep moving with it. So I'm going to go in here, and then I'm going to try to get my brush here. Keep loading it too much. Anyhow, you're just going to pull like green little pieces up here through it. I kind of like to make them curve. So it's okay, you know, if it runs through the paint like this, it's okay. This brush is probably not the best one to be doing this with. If you can get a finer brush, I would recommend that to get the look that I really am trying to get here. But I can't find the brush I was really wanting to use for this. So I like the thinner lines in it. And I'm trying not to hit it too hard, because I do want the lines. But a thinner brush would be better. Just to give like the thinner lines. And like I said, this is really coming up kind of thick. But you'll see in a few minutes here that it really is not too concerning. This is kind of just like layering it and doing like an undercolor pretty much. And that one's really dark. And I've only painted this glass I don't know how many times a night, so did better earlier. Look at my other video. Sorry. I think I'm like cursed on this one for whatever reason. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is take the same brush and I'm just going to go back in over these. Just kind of put in some color. And then just keep moving the glass around. Oops, I put it in the green. That's awesome. I did not clean out my brush, so I'm using basically doing it with a dirty brush as they call it. I'm just tapping in some color. Tapping in some color. Say tap, tap, tap. Alright, that was the magenta that I just put in there. Then I'm going to go back over it with, throw some yellow ochre in, which is part of the base color that I put in to begin with. And just keep turning it and adding color. Turning and adding color. And again, on any of these steps that I'm doing, you're more than welcome to let them dry before you add another color to it, just so that maybe it's not all running together. Maybe kind of more muddled than anything. But I like the look. I think it's alright. I hope this one turns out better. Like I said, this is, I don't know how many times I've done this video tonight to keep redoing it. And when you're tapping these on, if you find, like, say, for instance, like an undercolor isn't showing up very well now, like a color you first started out with, just go back over it, add some more back into it. It's okay. You know, it's great to do that. Now I'm putting some Wicker White into this. And also, as I mentioned in the other video, when I did the brush stroke part, you can do either add the leaves before or after, or add some leaves and then put in put in, you know, maybe add a few more leaves once you get it done. Once you get like the blooms on and all that. Or you can do like what I'm doing. I chose to do the leaves afterwards just for the mere fact that I am doing the video, because you definitely have to have dry time for that, and I'm just trying not to make the video too long or have to keep coming back and, you know, adding on to it. So that's the whole purpose. Okay, so I think I got white added onto all those. I'm just going to leave them as they are. If you wanted to go back in and maybe even add some of the greenery coming down out here, you can. But since the brush I have right now is not the greatest for this, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to mess with it. We will now go on to the, you know what, to adding the greenery. And I put the greenery in afterwards too, when I did the video, the brushstroke video. So I'm basically doing it the same way. Now for the purpose of doing the glass, obviously it's a little bit different than just doing it on a piece of paper or palette paper. And so I am just going to be putting in my stem. I might even put in a couple parts of the stem as I go around the glass. And keep in mind too, when you're doing the stem, that, you know, you have to be careful that the stem is not too light, because I have a tendency to be light-handed with the stems, because it could possibly not last as far as the you know, the quality of it could actually chip off easier because it's thin, and that's the main reason, is just because it's a thinner line. So if you find that it maybe is too sheer, you might want to go over it and just make sure it's a little bit thicker, even, you know, after you've done it. You painted it on, like right in here, it's kind of thin, and I might want to go back over that. But right now I'm just kind of randomly placing the stem, and then I'll add the leaves. And it's just, like I said, it's just kind of a random thing here, going around. I mean, you can put more than one stem in because you're doing a glass. Like I might want to put a stem right here, would make sense. And as far as the leaves that you're going to be putting on here, if you want to put a lot of leaves, oh great. Or if you don't, you know, that's fine. However you want to do it. I get pretty heavy-handed with leaving. I know how I say that. Sounds like I'm going someplace. But it's really just putting the leaves in, painting the leaves. I can be pretty heavy-handed with leaves for whatever reason. I have no clue. And I'm just kind of trying to put in just some random greenery here. And I hope this is showing up. I'm going to be so upset if it's not. Alright, I am going to go in now and start putting some of the greenery around the little rosebuds. And you just put one up like that, or you can do a few. And do one that goes up to it. It's awesome. Yeah, painted glassware has really become pretty popular. And if you think about it, with the trend, I don't know if where you live, if this is big, but the craft beers are really big around here. That Yeah, that's another niche to hit. Or a possible niche, really. There's a lot of wine lovers out there, that's for sure. It's become such a hot trend. Hopefully one that'll stay around for a long time. Especially for glass painters. What a fun ladies' night out this would be too. Maybe gather some of your friends and have them over to paint glass. If any of you are actual glass painters, I'd love to see your work. Love to hear any of your thoughts or comments. I hope you enjoy the video. If you haven't already subscribed to my videos, or to my channel I should say, I would love it if you would take time to do that. Then you'll get notifications whenever I add something new. You can hit the bell that's there, and that way you'll be notified when I'm actually uploading a video. I just like how when you're painting on glass, the paint flows so nicely. You know, some things that you paint on like wood, or if it's really dry, it can be really hard to paint on because your brush doesn't want to move. It depends on what style of painting you use too, probably. Okay, so I'll put that there. And you can mix up your leaves. You don't have to do all one kind of leaf, or you can, you know, if you want. Okay. Now I would love it if you'd make any comments at the bottom. After you watch the video. I would love to hear from you. Please make sure though that you, if you like this video, that you give it a big thumbs up. If you know of people that might be interested in glass painting, or maybe some of the other projects that I do, feel free to share my videos. I would love the exposure as much as possible. I mean, you know, with painting, you can always add a lot, add a little. It just really, you can be as detailed as you want. It's just so much fun to do. I really do like it. Alright, so I think I'm going to stop with the amount of greenery that I'm putting on the glass, just for the purpose of getting through the video. I've had a lot of technical difficulties tonight for some reason. But anyhow, here it is. Here's the finished glass. Hope you can see that. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And please feel free to share this video. I would appreciate it. And until the next video, I am going to call it a good night. And we will see you the next time. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a good evening.